Babes Reading Books Book Club.
I think we nailed that one.
Oh.
What's up, book nerds? The babes are back in town for the Babes Reading Book Club, episode 6. I'm Roxanne.
I'm Vic.
I'm Nadia.
And together, we're the babes. And that includes you. Before we begin, make sure you follow us on all our socials. Subscribe. Give us a thumbs up and leave us a comment. And follow along with our journey for the Babes Reading Books Book Club.
Exactly. New episode every single month. So make sure you come back, leave your comments below, your opinions. We want to know. We want to engage and talk about books.
Yes.
Exactly.
Heck yeah.
We're really churning through those books
Oh yeah.
every
yeah.
month.
They keep coming.
Yeah. Can't believe we're at episode 6 already.
Yeah.
Crazy. 6 books down, 6 more to go.
Woo! Halfway
Wow.
point.
Exactly.
We did it, guys.
Wow. Beautiful.
We killed it.
Some thought we couldn't do it. And
we
by
did.
me, I mean me.
But you're doing it.
I'm doing
You're
it.
getting
Yep.
through.
So, and funny enough, this month's pick is...
Mine. And my pick is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And this is the 2 versions of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Same book.
Same book.
Just different colors for some reason.
So, should we start with a rating?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very curious.
Yeah, I'll probably go first. So I'm giving this a 2.5. 2.5 out of 5. Like, passes because they're, like, honestly, I don't know. Like, for me, it was a just fine read. You know, like, it was good enough. You know, I wanted to read it enough. I like the storyline enough. I like the characters enough. You know, the writing was good enough. So I'm giving it an even 2.5.
Okay.
And yeah, okay, we'll leave it at that, and I'll give a more in-depth review
Sure.
as we go through. Oh yeah, Victory next.
Victory next? Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give this a 2.
I failed.
I think, okay, I'm gonna give it a 2. It doesn't reach the pass point for me, but it's not also a 1 because I was able to, like, read through it. It wasn't at, like, that, it wasn't at the pulling teeth part. Like, I wasn't like, oh my god, like, I need to finish it. Like, I was able to read it, that's why I get to 2, but it's not meeting the halfway point because I think the biggest problem with this, I just could not get into it. Like, I just couldn't get into it. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get into it. And I think the biggest disconnect for me is the Greek mythology. I just could not get into it. All the names was too much for me. I couldn't keep up with who's who. It was very confusing to me. And then, like, I don't know, it is partially my fault because I could have, like, kept going back to the glossary seeing who was who. But, like, I don't want to do work. When I'm reading for enjoyment, I want to read for enjoyment. I don't like to do extra work and do that, you know?
You have a book. Sorry, just a quick note. You have a book journal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but, like, it's like I never have to, like, keep up that, like, I just couldn't, as much as I tried, I couldn't get into it. And the biggest part was the Greek mythology. I realized I am a history nerd, but the Greek mythology sector is not for me. Couldn't find it engaging. But I'll get into it because I did really, really like the ending. And But, yeah, it gets a 2. I just could not get into it. It was written really well. And I can see why. There's so... I think it was written well, and I can... Like, it was very...
it was so poorly written.
I was gonna say it's written as, like, very
There were so many
descriptive.
parts. No. It, like, there's so many sentence structures. I was reading and I was like, this doesn't make any sense grammatically. Like, it was so hard to follow. Like to physically read the sentences, I found it so difficult. But anyways, sorry. I'm gonna
maybe
respond to yours after. I want to hear yours too, Nadia.
Maybe that was part of the problem, but I just didn't even realize. I just couldn't get into it, no matter how hard I tried. And I think for me personally, it's just the Greek mythology that really I was not into.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. My turn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a 3, which is not much better. And, like, I expected this to be, like, my new favorite book because, like, I don't know, like, it has... I love romance. And, like, it was getting so much hype, and I was like, I can see myself really liking this. But then, I don't know, it did fall, like, a little bit short. I liked that it was never slow. Like, it was, like, really fast-paced. Like, even sometimes she would, like, say one thing, and then, like, immediately... it's like 5 years past, and I was like, whoa. okay, or like I don't know, like for me it felt like things were moving quickly, which I like. I wasn't like bored, but I also like couldn't really get into it. Like I wasn't like entranced by the story or like by like their relationship, or I also didn't like Achilles. So like I don't know if that is something. Like I was like he's just like meh. I love the main character though. Like I thought I love him. Like just such a good wholesome dude, and I think he makes the whole book. But yeah, I don't know.
Everything you said, I felt the complete opposite.
Really?
Yeah. I hated Patroclus.
Really? Patroclus.
He was the worst. Okay. Oh my gosh. Actually, Achilles I didn't really mind, so I agree with you on that one. He was just fine. I hated the ending.
Really?
I found that the stories were too choppy, where like I felt like we were getting into a storyline, and then she'd cut the scene and it'd like go right into something else. And I felt like it was always like we were like jump. And I was like, we were just getting into one scene, and I started liking it, and like I felt like she set the scene, and it was just like, for me, I felt like it was so jumpy. So that's interesting that you guys felt literally the exact opposite of what I was feeling. That's interesting. I hated the ending. Oh my gosh.
I wonder, like, for me, I just had such high expectations. I think it was just like impossible to live up to. Also, like our friend like said that she like cried.
Yeah.
At the end, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because at the time where I think she would have cried. Like I don't know exactly where she cried, but I can assume. Like I was listening to it on an audiobook, and I don't know if that had any effect. But like I felt almost nothing. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't have made me cry.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with why she cried, but like I like the ending in the sense that I
like the ending too.
Yeah, for me, like the beginning, I liked the beginning. I liked kind of how like they like I liked the beginning of character depth, but then for me the huge chunk in the middle, like that's what I struggled for me the most. Like all the war, like I just felt like there was like 30 million war chapters that I just couldn't get into, and like I honestly, the middle is just kind of a blur because I just was struggling to read that. And then I really liked the ending. Like I felt like the last 3 chapters, like I actually enjoyed like every page. I was engaged. And then like I feel like it just needed to be more at that point, because that's when I started to like actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
So like for me, I did not like the middle. I liked the beginning, and I liked the ending.
That's so funny because the ending, like when the end, like when pretty much when the end was, like the big thing that happened at the very end, and then like everything else, like it felt like that was the end of the book, and then everything else after was like I was like, this was just felt like the epilogue or whatever, the thing that comes after the chapter, and I was like, and then like when it finally ended, I was like, what? So for me, I really like did not vibe with the beginning and the end. The middle was actually okay for me because that's where I felt like this stuff was actually happening, and then super hated the spice when I realized it was between like 13-year-olds. There's something about being a 23-year-old reading a spice scene where both of them are 13 that genuinely made me feel disgusting. Like when I read that, I sat there and I was like, I had the book open and I was like, they're 13. And I realized that after, because like they had like the spice scene, and I was like, oh, like they must be like, you know, older. And later they were like, 3 years past, he's 16, and I was like, sorry, what? Or like 16, even if they were 16, I can't remember if they were 30, but like they were young, and I was like, being a 23-year-old reading that did not feel comfortable, really did not like that. But okay, you know, like.
I was not thinking how old they were.
Okay, well, you know what's funny, what I thought? So when the very beginning of the book, when they're talking about like how, whatever, Patroclus and Achilles, I thought that Achilles was a grown man, and he just had like a school of little boys, and I was like, "This is so weird."
That's much worse.
Yeah, and I was like, "This is so freaking weird." And then it wasn't when they were like, "Oh, they're both 13." Then I was like, "Oh, fine," but I didn't realize it was weird because I was just so focused on it being like old man, little boy. And then I was like, "Oh, thank God they're both the same age."
Wait,
What?
I was talking to some. Oh yeah, okay. This is. Wait, okay, this is not a true story. I don't know. What is this?
Fiction?
Whatever. Fiction. But it's like based off of like someone who may have existed or whatever. And apparently like in the real story, like Achilles is much older than Patroclus. So
I don't like that.
that is what it would have
yeah,
been.
that's what my mind was, and I was like, oh, yikes.
Yeah, that's
And I was
gross.
Like, well,
but-
at least they're the same age.
For me, like
Yeah.
first I got the audiobook from the library. I think I made it 11 minutes in and I was like, I can't do this. The way this man was reading, I was like, literally my first thing was like, so I write first audiobook and then I said, don't like the theme song. Because it was, I don't know if yours had a
I
theme
didn't
song.
start at the beginning.
Oh,
it was. I mean,
okay.
I'm sure it was the same audiobook because I also got it from the library.
And it was just like, he was a British guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, awful. I do not recommend him. But the theme song felt like it was going for 30 years and I was like,
What's the theme song?
it's just, play it. Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Just play the beginning. There's just like it felt like a 30-minute long song. And I can remember, like, I can hear it in my ears right now. But, like, it was just so weird. I was like, why am I listening to a song right now? Get it? Song of Achilles?
Parker Audio presents Song of Achilles.
Oh, you're double time. Yeah. You just outed yourself.
That clip was sped up.
You must have actually just accidentally just turned it on.
Yeah, while you were doing it.
Ooh. Who could listen to a book like that? It was better faster.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's the first thing you hear. And I was like, why would anyone desire this? So that, like that. And then I was just like,
Song of Achilles. Come on.
and I don't want to listen to it. And then I was like, why must the reader be British? Like,
It should be Greek.
It's true.
exactly. Or just not have like a super thick accent and like try to like play it up. I know they do it on purpose, but let's cancel that.
I like the thing about the audiobook that I liked is that it helps me learn how to pronounce the names.
True.
Because, like, oh my god, like, trying to figure out the pronunciations, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Patroclus?
I just said them in my head the way that I would say them. And I was
Yeah.
like, whatever.
So, if we say them wrong,
Mm-hmm.
it's not our fault.
Yeah.
None of us are Greek. You can't blame us.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. We weren't
Okay.
alive at that time.
Okay, so let's go through the book
Okay.
and talk about how we felt about what was happening in those times.
Okay. Shall I begin?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, stop me whenever you have a comment.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I think the book starts with our main character Patroclus, and he's little at the time. I think he's like 8 or something, and he's at this like his father takes him to a ceremony where there's like a bunch of kings and princes and stuff, and they're like all vying for this one woman, like to be her husband. And she's like very beautiful or something, and she has to choose among all of them who she would like to take, and he's the youngest by far, and like he basically just meets all these like really, I don't know, like really royal people, whatever, and so she chooses someone, and then at the end they take an oath to her, like to protect her at all costs, pretty much. So our main character Patroclus is included in this blood oath, and that's like a key point out of that. And then the story cuts to like a few years later, and he's with his he's living with his father in his kingdom. Is it Thea? Is that
Oh,
his
yeah, I
kingdom?
think so. That one was
Okay, and
Or no, Thea's was Achilles.
okay.
His was a different one.
So I don't remember, but I don't think it's very relevant, honestly, because he's exiled from the kingdom by his father because he kills a guy, and I forget why he did that.
He killed him. So he was playing with like dice or something, and then the guy's like,
yes.
"Give me the dice," and then because the whole first chapter is Patroclus. Him whining about how like he's not a man, and like his dad thinks he's simple, and the mom's simple, and all this stuff, and I'm like,
yes,
with that kind
He
of
wants to
attitude,
prove
yeah,
his
you're
father that
simple.
He's like worthy for his father.
Yeah. So then he was saying how like this guy comes up to him, and I think he was the son of like some other person, and they're kind of like, he was like, give me the dice that you have or whatever, and then he's like, no, I don't want to give you the dice, and then the other guy was just gonna take them, and he was just like filled with rage, so he pushed him, and then his head cracked on a rock, and he ended up killing him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not to be rude, they described Patroclus as super weak. I doubt he could push another kid hard enough to freaking knock him over, let alone hit his head on the rock.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, But yeah, so he gets exiled because he was trying to take his dice, and then he's like, no one's ever tried
Yeah.
to take something from me.
Yeah.
So.
But his father already didn't like him.
Mhm.
I feel like the killing of this other kid was just like an excuse for his father to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So his father exiles him and sends him to like the kingdom of Thea, right?
Yep.
And there's King Peleus,
I think, oh, yeah.
and he is the father of Achilles, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Tell
facts
us.
to my
Yeah.
fact checkers.
This is all news to me.
The names.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, and so Achilles is
Those are the ones that are pronounced exactly how they're spelled.
I know, but I just didn't know any relations to any. I could not map out a family tree.
Yeah.
Of any of this.
yeah, that's so fair. But so Achilles is a half god. His mother, Thetis,
Yep.
is a goddess.
A
She's
sea
a
nymph.
sea nymph.
Sea nymph.
And so, and his father, King Peleus, is immortal. But so Achilles is half god, and he's like very, strong, like very graceful, even at his young age. And there's a prophecy that he's to be the greatest warrior ever. So, yeah, so he kind of like rules this place, you know?
Yeah.
So Patroclus comes in, and he's like this shy, quiet, like kind of more small, weak kid. And then there's Achilles, and he's like this god guy, and I think Achilles like takes a liking to Patroclus, and he chooses him as his companion. So like I think that's like a lifelong oath. It's like marriage for friendship. So they become really good friends, and like they do everything together. And am I missing anything important?
No, it's just so funny. So there's this one scene with the juggling scene where like before they like swear their oaths to each other. So it's like Achilles was like juggling or something, and then he like helped Patroclus juggle or whatever. And then I literally wrote, what's it called? The tension between Patroclus and Achilles is unmatched right now, especially when they're juggling. So
The juggling really brings people together.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so they develop more than just a friendship. They develop a romantic relationship. And as Roxanne pointed out, they're quite young.
Yep.
They're like 13 or something at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much they just spend all their time together. So Achilles and Patroclus have a romantic relationship, but nothing really going on. And then one time, Patroclus kisses Achilles, and since Achilles' mom is a goddess, she sees all. So she sees that they kissed, and she's like, no, Achilles, you cannot be doing this. You're gonna go to this Mount Pelion place where there's a centaur named Chiron,
Yeah.
and he's gonna teach you how to fight, whatever, teach you everything he knows.
Yeah.
So Achilles goes by himself, and Patroclus follows him, and the two of them end up living there for years. I think like 3 or 4 years. 3 years until they're 16. And there things get a bit more spicy.
Yeah.
Between them.
They were 16 when they had their first spice scene.
Yes. Oh, yes, because they Achilles found out from his mom that she can't see what's going on Mount Pelion. So he was like, we don't have to hide anymore. So that was that. And anyway, then news of the war breaks out. So the princess in the first scene, she is taken from her man, her prince. I think his name is Menelaus or something. They recall the blood oath of that all the princes and everyone that was in the first scene made then, and they are all called to fight for this princess to get her back and bring her home. And since Achilles is like the best fighter, or rumored to be the best warrior ever, like they want him to fight, obviously. Yeah, so, but Achilles doesn't want to, because he's like, I'm 16, and like, I don't know, I'm having a good time on Mount Pelion, and also his mom doesn't want him to go, because, should I say?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's like another prophecy that Achilles will die if he goes to this war. He will die in the war, and another piece of that is that he will die after a guy named Hector dies, and we'll get back to that when we're in the war times. But yeah, so he says no. And then I kind of forget how he gets back.
Because isn't Patroclus bound by that oath, so he has to go fight anyways? Is that what it was?
But he was hiding because he's like, since I've been exiled, he's like, I am no longer son of whatever his dad's name was. So he's like,
so he doesn't have to.
Yeah, and then he started calling himself son of Chiron, which was the centaur that was taking care of them on Mount Pelion. But I don't remember exactly like why they went back.
Why they went back?
Yeah.
It was because I think the mom said no. I think the mom said like, wait, what do you mean went back where?
Oh, I remember. So they heard of this war, and then they went back. No, sorry. They didn't even hear about the war. They were on the mountain. Someone came and they were like, we need you. They went back, then they found out about the war, and then they were like, no, we're not going. So then they're just staying in this place, and then something happens, and they go to the other place.
So I'm pretty sure they went back because they were like, we're not fighting this anyways. Like it's like because also at that point we forgot about we hadn't brought the oath up. They were just trying to get Achilles to fight.
Right.
And then Achilles is like, no, like I know about the prophecy, I'm not going. And the mom didn't want that either, so she was like, good. Like, you go back. But then, that's when the princes / the people who are in the oath, they come and they're like they're now trying to scout out Achilles. So then they try to like lure them in, but then like obviously they realize that Patroclus is there. But whatever, I'm gonna say his name like that. I don't know if I said it right or wrong. So they go back to try to convince him. Because they're like, oh, blood oath, but then he's kind of like, I'm not a prince anymore, like, I'm nothing. So then they're like, not sure about that. And then they essentially kind of said like, oh, Achilles, is it worth dying? Or like, because the prophecy specifically was like, if he goes to fight in this Battle of Troy, he's gonna die. But if he doesn't, then he's gonna become a nobody. Like, he's not gonna be the hero that he is. So then that's why Achilles was like, I can't be a nobody, I have to go fight. And then Patroclus was like, I'll follow you then.
Oh, but not yet, right? Because before that, in the middle, so they go back home, and then in the middle of the night, Achilles' mom takes him to Skyra or something like that. Another kingdom, where it's like, no one really knows about it. Like, no one cares about this king, and no one cares about his people. And then Achilles, like, is disguised as a girl there. Yeah, he's like a dancer there. Yeah. And like his mom did that so that the people who want him to fight, the kings, don't find him, but they did. And so then
he gets married to that girl too.
He got married to, and they have a child, and the child's name is Pura.
Yeah,
it's a boy. Important information for later. And then
just that whole thing too. I get what, like, so this girl was in love with Achilles. Her name was
Diomedes or something.
Didymea.
Oh yeah, Diomedes is the king.
Yeah. So Didymea, okay? So she ended up getting pregnant by Achilles, so she's carrying Achilles' child, and then they're like married, okay? Now, also, for some weird reason, she obviously hates Patroclus because Achilles loves him, and then he chose Patroclus over Didymea, whatever. And then there's this scene where Patroclus sleeps with her. Like,
oh yeah, that was so weird. I was like,
what?
And it was like not. I don't think he ever told Achilles. I was like, why did he do that?
I don't know what it added to the story.
Nothing.
Because it's literally like, and that's the thing, like, in the moment, because I was like, oh, it's such a weird scene, like, it must be something, like, maybe she was lying about being pregnant, so then she got pregnant by Patroclus, like, whatever. But, and then I finished the book and I was like, we never revisited that.
There was no callback
to it
at all.
No need for that. I was so confused. And the whole time, Patroclus was just kind of like, meh. Because throughout the whole book, he's like, he was never really interested in women. And then even that, he was like, meh.
I wonder if it was like him like realizing, like, I'm not into women, you know, like maybe that was the point.
But then in the next few chapters, it's even weirder. It gets even weirder, like with where she leads it to. Like, oh my gosh. So I was just like, that whole scene, I sat there and I was like,
yeah, there's no relevance.
That was really
And then
weird.
again, he was 16, and I was like, don't need this right
Yeah.
now as a 23-year-old at the time. Didn't need that. Didn't need to read spice about 16-year-olds. But yeah, that was awful. Like, it was so weird. Like,
was
the
so
scene,
weird.
and then, like, the scene was just like they were like
Yeah.
talking, and she was like crying because she had to get banished now because she had to wait to claim to be Achilles. Like, she had to wait for her baby to be claimed by Achilles for some reason. It was because he wasn't a hero yet. So then he was like, "Oh, once I become a hero, then you can stay."
Achilles' mom wanted the baby after it was born. She was like, I want to take this baby.
But she had to keep her pregnancy a secret.
Yeah, because it was like her and Achilles, like technically Achilles was a girl at the time. He was being disguised as a girl, and they didn't want, and like they weren't married, like, or like no one knew they were married, so it would have been like disgraceful. And she was like the daughter of the king.
Yeah.
So like he didn't want people to know she was pregnant, like pre-marriage, even though she was married, but like whatever. They didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was that. Patrick sleeps with her. Led to nowhere.
So strange.
Just
So
very
strange.
random.
I thought he was gonna tell Achilles because they were like tell each other everything.
Yeah.
And then it just never brought up, and I was like,
So weird.
interesting.
But yeah, and then but yeah, so I guess that was that, and then they go to war.
Then they go to war, yeah, because then finally Achilles hears about this prophecy that he will be nobody or he dies at war, and he's like obsessed with fame. He wants to be remembered. So yeah, then they go to war, and
This is where I checked out.
yeah, I'm kind of forgetting.
There's just
they go
endless war.
They go to war, and then what's important is to remember is that there's the king, like there's one guy who's the leader. That's Diomedes, right? Yeah, the king of Argos.
There's several kings.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Armageddon or whatever?
There's one guy that's like his
Oh no,
boss,
that's the
his
one. Never
general.
mind. It's that one. It's the A one.
Yeah, that's his general, right? Or something.
Yeah, that's the guy. So yeah, so he's the brother. Yeah, so okay. So the guy, they're fighting for Helen, okay? Helen was married to, what's his face? Oh my gosh, I had his name. Menelaus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was that, so when Helen got kidnapped, Agamemnon, he had the biggest army. So he was kind of the leader of the whole fight. Okay? So what happened though, he was beefing with Achilles because everyone knew that Achilles was the best fighter, right? So like Agamemnon was like so he was like the top dog, okay? So they pull up and like immediately there's a fight in the water. So like as their boats were coming in onto the island or whatever, and like Achilles killed it, you know, like he got the most kills, whatever, the best kills, whatever you want to say. So they land on the island, or they land on the place that they're attacking. Now, Agamemnon had like his like sub people, and they were all like leaders of their own individual armies. And so he was like kind of like the bad guy of this story because they were saying like, okay, go to Troy and ask them, be like, okay, like give us back Helen or we're gonna fight, right? But he fell into like the kind of like the devil on his shoulder. So they decided instead to like pillage the area leading up to Troy to try to like get them to come out, and then like they were gonna beat them or something stupid. But essentially he chose like the meaner way, right? Because there was the nice way and then the mean way. He chose the mean way. So hot off the press, they're like killing all the farmers and stuff, so they have no food. And then they take a woman as a prize.
Brius.
That's her name?
Briseis.
I don't know.
I called her Brius.
Briseis, probably. But I don't know.
Briseis.
Yeah.
Briseis. No, I don't know. And she becomes really close with Patroclus.
Yeah.
A little too close.
A little too close, and she falls in love with him. And he's like,
And he-
oh yeah, go ahead.
And he like stands up for her because she was just gonna be like treated as like a slave basically. And he was like no, and made like Achilles because Achilles had a lot of pull even though he wasn't top dog. So like then she starts her own like I don't know what I guess house for all the ladies that get
tent.
like, yeah. and like protects her ladies, and like I guess I don't know what they do, but I think they do some stuff of value.
Yeah, they were like
the
helping.
camp.
Yeah, yeah. So I think they helped like with like food and water and like. But yeah, so then they take that woman and then they just fight. Okay.
Yeah, so much fun.
Unfortunately, this fight takes forever.
Long time.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. I was like, oh, this will be 1-2 weeks. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
same.
10 years? He's 27 at the
Yeah.
end of the book.
Yeah, it's
I was
insane.
like, wow.
Like enough's enough. And then their plan is just to kind of dodge because since so what happened? So since the prophecy said Achilles is gonna die after this man named Hector dies. Achilles' plan was to never kill Hector, okay? But he's like the top fighter on the other side, so everyone was kind of screwed. Everyone on our side, I guess we'll say, Patroclus and Achilles' side, they were all kind of like, why aren't you killing Hector? You know, like, so like, essentially Achilles was like dragging out the war because he was not planning on killing Hector, but he was like the top dog. So like, if you went for the gut first, could have clean swipe. But unfortunately, he's dodging him, and Memnon was getting upset. He kept asking him, he's like, when are you gonna kill Hector? And he's like, what did he ever do to me? Which is a big thing.
That's why he stops fighting.
Yeah, and then eventually they beef hard.
Him and Agamemnon. They beef hard. Why? Why is there a big beef? Oh yeah, because Agamemnon takes the girl, Briseis, from Achilles.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Which
And
is
then
a big no-no.
big
Because
no.
Patroclus loves Briseis.
Yes.
And Briseis loves Patroclus.
Yes.
She was macking on him hard. Let me tell
She
you.
literally took a mac.
Oh
He
yeah.
said, whoa.
And he's like, whoa.
And she said, will you have... No, she said, do you want to have children? Meaning with me. And he said, I don't know.
He thought about it.
He thought about it, actually, yeah.
He did, which is again so weird because it's like the whole book. It was like he was only obsessed with Achilles and like he loved Achilles and all this stuff, and then he's pulling this shit. Like, sorry, but like
Achilles does take a turn for the worse, though. Like,
Yeah.
at the end,
At the
he's
very
just
end.
a shitty person. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to
But
say
like, yeah.
on the channel?
Yeah. But no, like even throughout this whole war thing, because I thought this was gonna be a really romance book, and to be honest, like it was like at the beginning, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, like
I
until the
needed
end, until the end, there was nothing. They didn't even touch which I get. It's
Well,
like
no, they
were
did.
barely though.
they said in the war how like so Patroclus was like obviously so weak. Like he would probably be first to die, and like the entire time he was kind of like shocked that he was alive, that he made it out every time he went to fight. But then later he realized that it was only because Achilles would make sure that Achilles would like kill all the people around Patroclus specifically to protect him. So it's like there were bits of romance, like you just had to pick up on it.
But
I was like,
so
it was
subtle, and I get it because like they're just kind of showing at war how it changes people and how like Patroclus was there like to like listen to Achilles and like always kind of like be that like crutch and like support for him, but like they didn't touch upon like barely unless you really read into it on their relationship at all. I was kind of like, oh, okay.
It was kind of like thrown to the side, which is
Yeah.
fine because there was a war.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
It was just so weird, honestly. Like, I don't know. There was also like a random part where like they like kind of like sprinkled in like the gods, like she literally like sprinkled in that like the gods were involved somehow, and I was like, I don't know what you guys are trying to do right now. Like it was pretty hard to follow, but essentially like the war, just Achilles was growing in power because he was killing so many people. And then Agamemnon was getting pissed, and then eventually Achilles said enough's enough kind of thing. Like you can't, because since he stole it, it was like a diss on the honor. So then he's like, you know what, enough's enough. So I'm not gonna fight until, like I refuse to fight until you apologize. Like Agamemnon gives him the recognition he deserves or whatever. Flash forward, so many people die because Achilles was the best fighter, naturally. And yeah, do you want to give away the big finale?
Yes.
So I'm trying to think, because like what
think that's
happens?
pretty
They
much
just keep.
it.
Well, there was like the god, like what you were saying about the gods, like they created a plague, like where a lot of people were dying because Achilles refused to fight, and there was something else.
Apollo kept getting mad. I
Yeah,
remember that.
they had to like sacrifice some humans.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of messed up. I think that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Mhm.
It was all like just like I felt like just like filler stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, then Achilles, as we're saying, just like so dumb, like he's just so prideful and like refuses to go out there because Agamemnon won't come and beg him to come back.
Mhm.
And people were like sending him gifts like come back, you know, whatever, but like Agamemnon himself didn't come, and I think that's why he refused to go back to fight, and they really needed him. But so Patroclus like comes up with the idea that he will wear Achilles' armor and go out there, and like people won't know it's not Achilles. And since they know like his armor, once they see him, like they'll just be scared and kind of retreat. So that's the plan. Like, and Patroclus is not supposed to fight when he goes out there. He's just supposed to kind of like be like oh, I'm back, and like you should be scared of me.
Yeah, just like rev up the crowd. You know, go
But
and that's it.
he goes out there and he like gets really angry, and he starts fighting in Achilles' armor. And so he actually kills like one of the biggest guys, like I forget his name, but
The second biggest one, right?
the second biggest guy, yeah. Like there's like Hector is like the main dude who like only Achilles can kill apparently, but then there's like a second, his name is like Spartan or something,
I think so.
and he's just like a giant dude, and Patroclus kills him.
Mhm.
But then Hector himself comes up to Patroclus, and Hector kills Patroclus.
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
sad.
Yeah.
He got too power hungry. He felt
did.
what it felt like to be Achilles.
Yeah.
And I guess that ties in the beginning of him always feeling so weak and never feeling like whatever, quote unquote, man.
True.
That he finally got a taste of it, of like what
Yeah,
everyone
but it wasn't
expected
a
him
fair
to be.
fight. Because stupid Apollo got his nose in
Yeah.
the business.
Oh,
He's
true.
standing at the top. So Patroclus was actually doing a good job. And he's freaking climbing the wall, like, to get into the place or whatever. And he probably would have won the freaking war. But stupid Apollo was standing there, which I was like...
Is Apollo a god?
Yeah. So I was like, what the hell? Like, I felt like that was so stupid. Like... Because it's like, it's not even about, like, the element of surprise. It was just element of stupidity. Like, you just picked out a random thing that would happen that no one would have freaking cared about. So he, like, flicks him off the wall. He falls, and then falls into enemy territory, and then they kill him. And I was like, what? Like, at least make his death epic. Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems so stupid, and, like, it just pissed me off. Because I was like, this added nothing to the story. Like, it was just such an unfair fight. I was like, at least give Patroclus, like, something. Like, but yeah, so then, and the whole book was written in Patroclus's freaking first person or whatever. I don't even know how.
Yeah.
So it's through his eyes. So it's describing how he, like, slowly dies, like, he's feeling when he dies or whatever. And I was like, after that, like, after he died, the rest just felt like an epilogue, and it was awful. I hated the, like, perspective it gave me. It was just like, because it was just like, obviously, word travel to freaking, what's his face? Achilles, and then Achilles just goes crazy. Like he loses it. Like his wires snap.
And then the book that everything is based off is the Iliad. There's like 20 of them or something. Anyway, just a side note. I just read that because Apollo, the one that, like, whatever, was in the way, the god of light and music and a champion of the Trojans. He was responsible for sending the plague down upon the Greek army in Book 1 of the Iliad, and was instrumental in the deaths of both Achilles and Patroclus. So,
He had to be there, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah, but then like, I felt like they tossed him in there, and it was so random, you know? Like, it was like tossing like one strawberry into a salad, where it's kind of like, okay, if you toss more strawberries, maybe then they would make more sense. But just the single one is so out of character, you know? Like,
I think that's like the thing with like Greek mythology, and I realize why I don't like it. It's just so chaotic.
Yeah.
And like just random.
It's not. I read the Percy Jackson, and like they actually kept up with all, like, they made sure everything was like in line, and it all made sense. Like everything was always tied together. That's why I was like, That's why I was so shocked by this, because I was like, it just felt like all over the place. Like, it has nothing to do with Greek mythology, because I'm like, it was just the way the author chose to do it, you know? Like, because I read so many other books with Greek mythology stuff, and like, never like this. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so he snaps. What's his face?
Achilles.
Achilles snaps.
Yeah, and he goes and he just wants to kill.
To die.
He wants to die, and he also wants to kill Hector. So then he's like, after Patroclus dies, he's like, fine, I'll fight your war. And he only does it so he can kill Hector and
Die himself.
Yeah.
and die himself.
To be reunited.
Yeah. So he kills Hector. He does it. It's a bit of a struggle, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or no, I thought it was. Oh no, you're right. He did eventually, because Hector was hiding from him. Because he knew what he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he knew what he did. So, and then also, ew, he was like sleeping with Patroclus's decaying body. Ugh.
Not like sleeping with, but like just like beside.
I don't know what's wrong.
Like he wasn't. There's nothing weird.
It's
It's weird going on.
disgusting. Well, no, he had the corpse next to him in the bed. It's disgusting.
Oh yeah, and then
Roxanne.
but yeah, then Brius was like, he deserves better than this, like a
Yeah.
proper burial. Like, what are you doing keeping a decaying body? Like, that's
Yeah.
selfish. And then she finally like knocks some sense into him, being like, what are you doing, bro? Like,
Yeah.
I'm heartbroken too.
Yeah.
Like, get over it.
And yeah, then they finally burn him.
Yeah.
And and Achilles requests that like when he dies, their ashes be mixed and buried together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then this
Ugh.
fun part.
I hate this part.
Yeah.
Then, so Achilles dies. How does
Yeah.
he die? One of the gods kills
Yeah.
him.
But even before that, so he kills Hector and then drags this man's corpse around for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
He
Like, this
just
man was
wanted to parade it.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he also kept it in his tent too.
Ew.
So that, like, because it's like you usually return the body in a war or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but he was like so mad that he like kept it also. So he had 2 decaying bodies in his tent at one point. Disgusting.
Weird dude.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh. But anyways, keep going.
But yeah, so then eventually one of the gods succeeds in killing Achilles, and he's dead. Okay, now they're both dead. Great. Then Achilles' son whatever, shows up out of nowhere, like acting like he owns the place.
Yeah.
This guy's 12 years old, and again, he was raised by Achilles' mom, which is the goddess Thetis, and he's just like he's just the worst.
Yeah.
Like, he's the worst guy. He's just like, oh, I know what my father, Achilles, would have wanted, and it's not to be buried with some commoner. Like, it's gonna take away from his name, whatever. And like, I don't know, I kind of forget what else. Like, I just remember hating him.
he's so like egotistical, because there's another
Yeah.
prophecy that
Oh,
the war is
yes.
going to end because of him. Like, he plays an instrumental part
Yeah.
that ends the war. So he's walking around like he owns the place. 'Cause He's
Right.
like, I'm ending this war. You need me. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And bonus, my father was Achilles, the best warrior.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like,
And he's like the new best. Like, there's like a Greek term for it.
there's a
but
term. But yeah, it was just this like
was
Pyrrhus
gross.
just comes up and he's
Yeah.
like he's all high and mighty, refuses to bury them together.
treats women like garbage.
Yeah. Immediately. At 12? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a child. But, yeah. And
He does end the war.
he does end up ending the war.
Because that was the Trojan horse story, right?
What
Did I
was-
miss?
I'm pretty sure.
When they got into they built that big wooden horse and they hide all the
Yeah.
men in it, and they put
Yeah,
the
there's
horse
the
in the
horse.
city. And
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember
Oh,
that.
I was like, I recognize that story, the Trojan
Yeah.
horse.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's because he snuck in the wooden horse with all the soldiers in the city, and then they all came out
I
of the
do
horse.
remember that
yeah,
story,
yeah.
but I don't remember reading
Yeah,
that.
so he
I
came
was
up with
like,
that idea,
Okay,
and that's how
cool.
they defeated.
And he's just like brutal. Like there's a line here where it says he just like stole Hector's. So Hector's wife was hiding in a cellar and she was like holding her baby, and he like took the baby and just like smashed the skull. So it's like this guy is like truly awful, like
Yeah.
the worst of the worst. But he does end the war, and then pretty much refuses. So like also they're not like, I think it's like their souls aren't allowed to be put to rest until their ashes are claimed. I think like they're
Yeah.
like written in stone or whatever. So like Achilles was claimed, but then what's his face? Patroclus wasn't, but they already mixed the ashes. So they buried the ashes, but only Achilles was like noted. And then eventually, for some reason, Patroclus was talking to Thetis.
He's lonely. And they bonded over their love for Achilles.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I really liked the ending. Like, I personally did. Like,
What was there to like?
I don't know, I liked how
Just
how they were, like, enemies the whole book.
Oh, yeah.
Because they hated each other, the mom and Patroclus. And then at the end, they became friends bonding over Achilles. And then...
That's horrible.
I don't know, I thought
That's
that was...
so stupid. Are you
I
kidding
like
me?
that. And then how she did that for him, because it ends and I don't know what she did, but she somehow opened his tomb or whatever for Patroclus.
Didn't she carve his name?
She carved his name or something, so Patroclus could be arrested and join Achilles. I don't know, I liked it.
But she was so mean to him throughout the whole book.
I just don't like her, and she was mean to
Yeah.
Achilles too. Like she like abandoned him at the end, like, and she was like, oh, that his son, so her grandson Hera is like way better than Achilles. Like, I don't know. I liked her. I didn't like her, but I was like fine with her until that, and then I'm like, she sucks. She's a bad mom.
She was just like so. Like, that's the thing, it's like she didn't get along with Patrick, but I was like, if you really loved Achilles, you would love him, like Patroclus, because Achilles loved Patroclus. So it's like, for me, it was kind of a cop-out where it's like, now Patroclus served her a purpose for her, so she's like, okay, fine. So it's like, there wasn't no bonding. He just paid her something, so she was like, okay, enjoy. Like, you know?
But I guess the acceptance was
Yeah,
nice.
I don't know. I liked how it ended. And like, ever since, like, when I started actually liking it was when just before like Patroclus started to go into war, like that's when I clued back in, and from then on, which is literally the last 3 chapters, that was the only like part of the book that I actually enjoyed.
That was like, it was like a lot going on.
Yeah,
like, it was like interesting,
and I actually could keep up. I understood what was going on. I didn't enjoy obviously Achilles' son, but like I knew what was going on. Like, it added something to the story, I felt like, where like the middle, I was just like literally you explain this, I'm like half this stuff, I'm like, oh, that's what was going on.
Yeah. That's
like, I just couldn't.
I don't know. I absolutely hated when Patroclus got killed. I was like, I like literally like held the book in my hands and I was like, what? Like, I don't know. I feel like if him dying was kind of a cop out. Like, I don't feel like their love story was that great at the end. Dare I say?
I don't feel like there's a
Dare I
love
say?
story at all. This book, to be honest.
I thought it was
Big time. There was big time love. Yeah.
That was a good love story.
I was expecting it to be super like romance filled, and I felt like that really took a back
there
burner.
would be more. I wish there was more.
But like, I don't know. Like, genuinely, I'm gonna look through my notes just
But I
to
just feel like they
recall.
didn't even touch upon their non-romantic relationship at all. Like for the majority of the book, like the whole middle, it was literally for me just like war, random names of people. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, no, because they just didn't give explicit romance, so you have to see the love through the book.
No,
like,
they didn't.
Did you look?
Not hard enough, I guess, but
There was like a part like during the war where like Achilles was like, he's always watching Patroclus, like, making sure he's okay. Like,
And then like, what's his face? Patroclus goes into the medical tent, and
he
like it's
became
like
a
he was
doctor.
finding himself too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was a story of Patroclus just finding his own strength.
But I felt like that
So that
all
was
got
the love story.
I felt like that all got overshadowed by like
By the
the war
war,
and
yeah.
all like the there's too much like
There was very little war. It was
I
more
don't know.
argument. Like there's a lot more arguing.
oh yeah, like that's what I
anything.
include in it. Like all the war talk like between all these randos that I just couldn't keep up with. That's why I just the middle. I'm like, I don't know what went on there.
Yeah, honestly.
And then there's also a scene where like, where a snake almost like came and bit Patroclus, but then what's his face? Achilles like stopped and like saved him or whatever.
Recollection of that scene.
So, but I was just like, I just felt like there's so much more they could have done with the book, and I felt like it just like plateaued. Like I genuinely feel the ending was a cop out. Like I feel like she was like trying to like build something, and then just like the end.
I just felt like it was like kind of like 3 different books in one.
I liked it. Like, I didn't love it, but I liked it.
I think I was expecting it to be something so different.
Yeah, me too. I think so too. And I think I would give her other book a try. Circe.
It's another Greek
also
mythology.
but
I'm not
very,
gonna
very. I'll tell you. I'll read it and tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. This book, not the biggest fan of it. I got the romance part. I just didn't feel like it was big. There was romance. I saw it all. Didn't feel like it was that great. And then highly disturbed when he was just describing Achilles in a very sexual manner, and then they were 12. I have a note, and it was like, the way he's being described, he is 12 years old. Do not like that. Didn't like that one bit. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I just felt like the whole thing was a big mess in every sense of the way. But it's okay. It's always worth a read.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that if you read it, leave a comment down below. What do you think? Who do you agree with the most? Who do you disagree with the most? You know, toss a little comment in the chat. Chat. Oh my god. Toss a little comment down below of this video. But yeah, I guess we're gonna get into next month's book, which is Roxanne's pick, and my pick is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover.
Another TikTok famous book.
Yeah, Ugly Love.
I'm excited for this one.
I'm gonna read the synopsis. Hoover. So it says, when Tate Collins meets airline pilot Miles Archer, she knows it isn't love at first sight. They wouldn't even go so far as to consider themselves friends. The only thing Tate and Miles have in common is an undeniable mutual attraction. Once their desires are out in the open, they realize they have the perfect setup. He doesn't want love, she doesn't have time for love, so that just leaves the sex. Their arrangement could be surprisingly seamless as long as Tate can stick to the only 2 rules Miles has for her. Never ask about the past, don't expect a future. They think they can handle it, but realize almost immediately they can't handle it at all. Hearts get infiltrated, promises get broken, rules get shattered, love gets ugly. There's the romance you were looking for.
That's hilarious.
There's the romance you were looking for.
I think I can already tell you how this book is gonna go.
Yeah.
This is the romance you ordered.
Okay.
I know the beginning, middle, and end. Will I enjoy it? Probably.
I'll find
Well,
out.
stay tuned.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really read the description. I just picked it because I was like, it's a popular book, so I like to, toss in the mix. You know, we picked, like, I picked one that I read first. Second one, I picked one that I thought I would like to read. And then this third one's a little different. Like, would I actually, outside of this book club, would I read this book? No. So I figured, why not? Switch it up a little, Catch off guard. I liked her writing in Verity. So I was like, let's see if she can do it again. But yeah, so that's next month's book. Make sure you check out next month's episode and keep up with us all year round. We post videos weekly and our BRBBC videos come out monthly. So make sure you hang out with us whenever you can.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
But yeah,
I'll see you guys next month. And with that,
babes out.